Hello guys, today we're gonna do some mountains, practice our mountains and our clouds, and we're gonna do some body of water. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope everybody's doing fine, great today. The brushes we're going to need today, round brushes. I have large, medium, and small. So you'll need those today. Flat brushes, a large and a medium. Stiff bristle brushes, the fan brush, and a flat stiff bristle brush. Okay, so let's get started. With our sky, we've learned to blend on the paper. So we're going to start with our white. Let's get the white on there a little bit generous. We don't want it too thick, but we also don't want it drying out before we have a chance to blend into it. All right, so there's our base. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue and a tiny amount of green and put that into the sky color. We'll start at the top. And very small amounts at a time on your brush, very little, because we don't want to go to a nighttime sky. I'm just going to get this blended in here. We don't want it so light that when we put our clouds in, you're not going to be able to see the clouds. All right, for our last time, go off the page on both sides. All right, go ahead and hit your pause button now and get that dry so we can work into it, okay? All right, guys, so we're going to use our stiff bristle brush, put a tiny amount of white on it, and kind of pat your plate with your brush so you can get some of that off. You don't want it going on too heavy. And remember, when you do clouds, make them a little oblong or they'll look like cotton balls. So we'll just start in a little area, get it formed out here. And it's just tapping. And then I just soften the bottom edges. All right, so there's a cloud. Again, put the white on. Wipe it off on your plate. And let's see, we'll put one, we'll do it up here. Have it go off just a little bit. And we are using the actual sky color for our shades in the clouds. It's a lot easier that way to do it for them, and they look great just like that, okay? So put however many you want in there, and we're going to start our mountains, okay? Let's wash that brush off and put it aside so it doesn't dry. And don't leave it in the water, guys. All right, for our mountains, we're going to mix brown and black. Make a very, very dark brown. And make enough up so that you can put this on nice and heavy. Don't make it too thin because we're going to work into this. All right, so to start, we're just going to form our first mountain over here. And put it up to the close to the top. And just sort of bring it down. And fill that in. This is brown and black. More brown than black, but it's still very, very dark. And the hardest thing to learn about mountains is when to leave it alone and not overwork it. All right, to get our colors in there and see the depths of it, I'm going to put a little white on my brush. I have not washed my brush. I'm going to figure, okay, the light, where that light's hitting. And you see I'm just kind of scribbling color into here. Alright, went a little high here. And a lot of this is just scribbling some shadows in here and highlights in here. Alright, now I'm going to take some black and say, okay, I want shadow here. I need it darker here. Where do you think all your dark would be is after the high points. The high points are getting hit by the light. So now I want to form some low points in here. And it's all scribbling, that's it. Okay? And I'm going to have a mountain coming across here, so I definitely want to make sure that the mountain pops out. So I'm going to highlight right along this edge. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. Back to our black and brown. And we're going to come over here. I don't want this one quite as high. And it's going to be on the back side of this one. I'm going to stop just at this one. Alright, and I'll fill that in. And remember, it's on the back side. It's not going to be level with this one because this one's up closer to us. Just scribble all this color in here real thick. Again, so we can work into it. Okay, so there's our second one. Again, we're going to go back to our white on our brush. And this is scribbling, guys. It's just scribbling some color into here. Where you believe that the light should be hitting, of course, is going to be in your higher spots. And then scribble it in. We're not really going too close to this because we want to keep them separated. If we add a light color down here, then you're not going to see where one crosses the other. Alright, let's get this out. And we'll come back and put a little black in here where we think that it should be shaded a little darker. And like I said, it's just a lot of scribbling, okay? Alright, so now we have our two mountains there. So again, you're going to hit your pause button. We're going to get that dry. And we're going to start with the body of the water, okay? So everybody hit the pause button and dry your canvas. Alright guys, for our water, I've mixed white, a lot of white, a little blue, and a very small amount of that brown and black mixture we used on the mountains. Mix that up real good, and it's a very light blue. So I'm going to put it across the mountains. And just stop at the end here. Oops, went a little high. Let me get my, again, remember our water is our eraser and a flat brush. All right. Now back to our water. And put it on again generously. We're going to put some shades in here, different values of this blue. So we want to be able to work in it. And remember, with your strokes, water's level. If you're going to go do this and you have highlights and lowlights, then it's going to look like the water's running off the page. So we're going to keep it across. And try to make sure you don't have a lot of the canvas peeking in here. We're going to be putting grass and land over some of this. All right, so back here, we're going to put a little more of that brown and black into some blue, our watercolor. And we're going to add just a little bit more of that mountain color in there. All right, put that across. It's just like the reflection of the mountain. All right, so now we got our little darker up here. Add little strokes of that color. All right, so now down here we want it to be lighter. So I'm going to add more white to our base blue color we made. And I'm going to come in here and get this lighter. And I'm going back and forth and I'm letting all these different shades come out. So you have different values in the water. And I do it up here, not going in quite as far because I don't want to take the darkness away from the mountain reflection. Okay, now do some little streaks of white in here. All right, and along the mountain, with hitting and splashing up against it, I'm going to just kind of line it with little, very thin lines of white. And if your white's too thick, add a little water. It'll go in a little smoother for you. All right, so now we have it up against there too. A little here. Okay, so now we have our sky, clouds, mountains, and a body of water. We're going to dry that. So everybody, again, hit your pause button, get that dry, and then we'll get our land in. All right, guys, I got this dried, and I took a pencil and sort of marked where I want my land to come out. Don't make the mistake of doing it like this. and making it all even. To do the curve, you're going to come out and it's a little flatter towards the bottom. If you see, it's not round. You have a little flatness because in the distance it's not going to be the same as if you're on top of it. And I want my land kind of jagged. I don't want it all one straight line, because we're making this land jet out into the body of water. So now for my green, I took yellow, put brown into it, and a little green into it, a little brown, a little green into the yellow. Yellow is my base color, so there's more of it than any other color, and I put a tad of white in there. We're going to make a light olive color here, and that's going to be our base. No, we're going to put this in here, go to the bottom of the mountain here. And then right where you see your water line, let's get it all filled in. Put this on thick because we are working into this. Again, there'll be a lot of texture into this base color. Bring this almost to the corner of the page, but not quite. Get all of this filled in. And this is where you're going to definitely get it on pretty heavy so it doesn't dry on us. Alright, so I have my base color here. So now I want another texture to it. I'm going to make this lighter. I'm going to take my base color and I'm going to add some more white to a part of it. Just to a part, because we're going to have, remember guys, at least 3 shades in anything in nature. And I'm going to switch to my fan brush. So I have my lighter color here. And I'm just tapping, especially on the top part and these mounds that go out, because that's where the sun's going to really be hitting. So I'm going to start with that. And as I get further up, I don't want it quite as detailed as this. The further back, it's a little more blurry. Now, I'm just going to dab this color in here. No rhyme or reason, just putting it wherever I feel like it. Now let's get some with a little more brown in it. Get some low lights going, so add a little brown to the base color. start seeing little valleys of highs and lows going in there. Now closest to the water, I'm going to now take and put some black into that base color that we made. Because of course our root system is going to be darker. And then bring it in a little bit so it can, you see that there's a little bit of a valley and a high point in some of this. So I'm going to get some of this shadow in here to show highs and lows. And see how it looks like different levels of your ground cover. Remember up here you want it blurry. You don't want to see the grass spikes. All right, now that we've shadowed close to the water, it looks like they're thicker now. All right, so now we're going to go back to our water, our tiny brush, our thin liner brush. And where the water's hitting that, we're going to have a little bit of a white cap there because it's hitting the land. So it's a hit and miss line, only on the top side, the bottom side of each one, I mean. It's just, like I said, the water is splashing up against the land. All right, so now we have a little bit of water lying there. So now you're going to take and you're going to dry that, okay? Because we're going to add a little boat and a little barn or shed, okay? So hit your pause button again and let's get that dry. Alright guys, I tried writing with a pencil, but you couldn't see it, so I did it with the watered down black paint for a boat. I'm going to show you how to draw that real quick. You're just going to go up and out. This side's going to be shorter than this one, and then you connect the two ends. It's going to be in a smaller scale than this also. So again, just coming to a point. Flatten the end, curve the front end a little, come down, about the same. This one's shorter, and then you connect here, and you have a little bit of a smile to your boat. All right, so there's your boat. This is all we're going to draw. Smaller scale, make this a little tighter. All right, so there's the boat that I've done here. So to start, we're going to get it a little darker inside. We're going to make a gray. I'm going to take white, black, but I want to put a little brown in it. And this is a dark gray. So that's white, black, and brown. And that's what we're going to paint inside the boat. It's a little darker. Alright, so there's inside our boat. Now you have these little seats you set on. So we're going to take yellow, brown, and white. And we're gonna just, not all the way to the top because these boards aren't setting on the top. They're down a little bit. And then we'll curve them in the same direction as the back of the boat. One there, one here. And let's do one up here. A little wider. All right, so now we have 3 seats. Now, for the bottom of the boat, we're going to do add a little more white to that. Mix. Let's paint the boat. Now before that dries, I'm going to take my fine brush here. Get wet, get a little black and play with it on the side of my plate. We want this to go on nice and smooth, like little boards. Just a touch much there. It's just hit and miss planks. All right, down a little deeper. Okay, so now we got some age on our paint there. And we're going to do the back. The back of the boat's in shade, so we're going to add a little to that light color we did on the base. Add just a tiny bit of black to it. And let's do the back of the boat here. Got to be darker than the side. All right, so now we have a boat stuck out there. I'll do just a little more shading in the front where it curves. All right, so now we have our way to get out there and get us some fish. All right, now let's get us a tree line going here. I'll take my stiff bristle brush and go back to that green, the base green. Come up here and just tap. Different measures, different heights. Nobody's been back here trimming the trees, so they are not going to be the same height all the way across. All right, now down closest to the land, it's going to be darker, the shade. So again, take that base green color we have, add some black to it. I have a flat brush this time, and I'm going to just kind of tap down closest to the land, this darker shade. Give it some shadow. Okay, so now it looks like there's a little shade going on underneath. We'll add just a little tap here. A little white into that. And add just a little bit of highlights up here. Not a lot. All right. Remember, everything should have 3 shades, so go with the highs, the mediums, and the lows, and getting some texture in our trees in the back. All right, so now you can get that dry, and we're going to start our shed. So we're going to hit pause and get our shed, get this dried so we can get our shed put in, okay? All right, guys, for the shed, we're going to take yellow, white, brown, and black, mix them together. Now, put enough on there to work and get 3 shades into it. Remember, 3 shades in most everything. So I have my pile of that. Now for the roof, I'm going to start with the roof. I'm going to take some of that and I'm going to pat the black into it. And just a little bit of that mixture. We're going to put a little black into it for our roof. So I'm going to mark where I want it. My roof's going to go to about right there. Okay. So angle towards the edge of the plate. The board. Now we're going to put a little bit of white on our brush. Put it off on the side of my plate. Alright, so now we have the slope for it. So let's figure out where we're going to put the body of it. I'm going to take my black, wipe off my brush. I didn't clean it, I just wiped it off on the edge of the plate. Put a little black on it. Keep this nice and thin. So now we're going to put a little line where our roof is going to end. And bring it down. How deep we want this building. Alright, now let's put a little bit of our base color we just made. That's the yellow and brown and a tidal white and black mixture. I'm just going to lightly brush that. Get it too light. This is the shadow side. Okay. Now the other side of the roof. Taking my black. Because what you're going to see is just the inside of this. Okay, so we put a little line there, and that's just an eave of it. And then we'll put a line down. And of course, it's got to be shorter. Sorry about that. It has to be shorter than this one. This is going to come down at a slight angle. All right, so there's the side, the front. All right, the front of this is going to be a little lighter. So we'll go to our mixture of the brown, yellow, white, a teeny bit of black. Switch my brush here to a small round one. Again, switched it to a small round. Okay, now we need some streaks. like the little wood planks coming down. It's just hit and miss streaks. And we did that with the dark gray. Now we're going to do the side with the lighter shade that we had over here and put some streaks down this side of the barn. And this is with the lighter color. Alright, so we have some here, we have some different shades there. Our doorway, it's the black. Alright, let's do a little more shading under here. Alright, I'm going to go back to my green, my stiff bristle brush, fan brush. We're going to put just a little bit of growth around the barn. Make it look like it's just not well maintained. Alright, so now we have our entire thing. You've got to do the sky and practice the clouds, the mountains, and just remember with those, don't overwork them. You saw how I just kind of scribbled it in. Alright, then we did our ground cover, trees, our water. You got to practice that today. All it's left to do, of course, guys, is to take, oops, let's get rid of that, and put your autograph down here. Alright, so make sure and sign it, then you have your piece of work. Alright, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoy.